Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cuckoo, and I'm your host, Nay. And this is part 3 of Trump's National Prayer Breakfast for 2025. From a Christian perspective, I am breaking down the speech that he gave with the discernment which the Lord has given me. Discernment is one of my gifts. Discernment of the Holy Spirit is one of the gifts which the Lord has given me. And so I have to give my disclaimer. This is my air quote opinion, my perspective as a Christian through the gifts which I have been given by the Lord. And so, this being part 3, I'm going to try to wrap it up in this video, and I'm just going to pick up where I left off the last time. Now, the last time in part 2, I left off with discussing Billy Graham, Donald Trump's reference to Billy Graham, and what I'm covering is the double speak of those who are in power, those who are able to put processes into motion which affect the masses. And there's double speak that is used. And oftentimes I think that the other side, the Luciferian side, they understand because they know what to listen for. But oftentimes Christians, they either don't have the discernment, or they're too asleep, or they're not at that level, or they could be at that level, but it's not something that has yet been revealed to them, because the Lord has revealed other aspects of himself to them. So from a Christian perspective, I'm looking at the double speak and breaking it all down and dissecting it, which was said at this national prayer breakfast that Trump spoke at. So, with that being said, the last time I had discussed with you, I was going to say we discussed, but really it's just me talking to you, so you're not saying anything. But hopefully I can have lives in the future. I mean, at this point, I think I have one follower, and that's it. And so I don't see the point in going live right now, but um, basically, I believe that Billy Graham was referenced kind of as a trophy in the trophy case for the other team because they made him fall at the end. That is my opinion. I know it's probably not well received, but just based on the information that I have gleaned through, that's the conclusion that I come to. And it's just very strange that Billy Graham would be the first person mentioned for this Garden of Eden reference further up the line, with hallowed ground in the National Garden of American Heroes. Also, I wanted to backtrack. Here I kind of stepped over it. It says it will be very built up. This also is a reference, I believe, to whenever President O, that's all I'm going to say, President O, he would say we're going to build back better. Wasn't it something like that? I think it was. Well, he is the anti-savior, so I have to be careful what I say there. So for him to say that, and then the similar verbiage to be touted by presidents after him, is just telling. I wanted to point that out. So we're going to move on. So as we go down further, President Trump is still talking about Billy Graham. And he said that there's a Billy Graham statue actually on their grounds where they're at. And he said the page reads there. The statue is holding a Bible, and the page reads, "Let us not grow weary for doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." That's Galatians 6:9. Then he continues to say, "Never give up, never ever give up. Uh, if I would have given up, okay, never give up." See it there? And again, never give up. That's a lot. For this, that's not even a full paragraph. And that's how many times that it was spoken. So, what I see when I look at this is the word up, 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 up. He's talking about up and how he's never going to give over to up. That's what this actually looks like to me. What gives the red flag before anything else is that he's talking about reaping. So being in the season of a harvest, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. And maybe I'm just seeing this with discernment, but also because the Lord has told me, he has spoken to me about the harvest season and about there being a divorce season. And I'm not talking about like on the simple level of spouses. I'm talking about on the spiritual level with God above, the Almighty God, the one true God, and the church that's here, the whore of Babylon. So there's a divorcement there. So maybe that's why this jumped out to me. So we're in a season. There is a season of reaping. I take it back to saying we are in a season of reaping. I take that back. That's a little premature, but I see the reaping, and then bada boom, right there. Galatians 6:9. 6, and then if you flip the 6, it's a 9. And the other side uses these, first of all, they use 3, 6, and 9 in general to represent 666. But when you see the 6 and the 9, that's actually the reversal of each other, as above, so below, to kind of give an indication to their side, hey, I'm saying something here, this is for us, and you should pay attention. And so he's really showing like where his loyalties lie there. I have to, for the sake of YouTube, I'm going to say this is my opinion. I don't know Donald Trump. In fact, I'm going to tell you, I think in a lot of ways he's actually really funny. He has a sense of humor. He's a little bit cantankerous. He owns it. And he's kind of amusing to watch. I can see how some people are very offended by him, but for me, I'm not rattled very easily, so to watch him is kind of amusing sometimes, if I didn't know the deeper understandings. So that's really what we're looking at here: the as above, so below, the 6, and then the 9, and they're flipped. This is an attention grabber saying, "Hey, pay attention." So it seems to me for the double speak, what he's really saying here is that he's never giving over to up, meaning making his eyes single, standing in the Lord. He's going to walk his double life as a one up and a one down person, a one up or a one downer, as the angel demon inside him. And that's what it looks like to me. And he says it over and over and over. What's interesting is, after he says never give up, if I would have given up, here he makes a reference to H double hockey sticks. Who the heck knows where I'd be? It's the only time he swears in his entire speech. And his choice of words there being that this, as doublespeak, means he's never going to give himself over to the Lord, the one true God. He's never going to do that. He's making it clear to the other side. This is where he stands. And then he makes a reference here to HE double hockey sticks. Who the heck knows where I'd be? So this place would have known where he was. It's obvious if you have eyes to see. I am dissecting it for others to see it so that maybe you already do. If this encourages you because you know that others are out here, that's wonderful. If this is new to you and you're learning, I'm glad that it can help you. I'm glad that this can be there to guide you. This information is there for you. So, continuing on. Here, he goes on to talk about one of the tragedies, one of was this a plane crash? I think it was. Although there was a helicopter crash too, but I think this must have been a plane crash. I didn't keep up on that. So he says, as you know, last week, only a few miles from here, our nation witnessed a terrible tragedy when 67 people were killed in a horrible accident near Reagan Airport. And he says, as one nation, we take solace in the knowledge that their journey that night did not end in the icy waters of the Potomac, but in the warm embrace of a very loving God. This looks harmless, but I'm going to tell you what this looks like to me. He's saying outright that he has knowledge. He's not guessing. He's not hopeful. He's not prayerful. He's not faithful in, that their journey that night did not end in the icy waters. He says he's taking solace in the knowledge that he has, absolute knowledge, that their journey that night did not end in the icy waters of the Potomac, but in the warm embrace of a very loving God. I'm just going to pause there for a second. A very loving God. Does anyone know what Potomac means in the original language? I wrote it down somewhere. Let me find it. Now, this is Google. And apparently it can mean a few different things depending on the source. So it can mean river of swans. It can also mean a place where people trade. Or it could mean a place to which tribute is brought. If you understand the other side, they still require sacrifice. They require the life of the veins, okay, to be poured out, and it has to be human. So, at certain levels, I think in the lower levels, maybe it can be animal, but after you reach a certain point, it has to be human, and these things are often actually, ritual. They're ritualistic, intentional, even. So I look at this, and he has knowledge that the journey of this 67 people, again, there's another number, their journey that night did not end in the icy waters of, I'm going to pick this definition, a place to which tribute is brought, but in the warm embrace of a very loving God, which is exactly where someone would go if they were given as tribute to a God at the price of their own life. I can't say the word. It starts with an S and it ends with Vice. Okay. So that's what I saw there right away. I'm going to move on there, and that is a tragedy. Do people sign up for it? Are they innocents? I have no idea. Do they just get on the plane, on the train, on the automobile, on the whatever the transportation is, whatever the scenario is? Do they just go knowing? Do they feel like they're doing their part for their God? I don't understand it. I don't know what's actually going on, or are these innocents who don't know? That part bothers me. It's tragic. Again, here's the word religion. And this, Donald Trump, he's throughout this speech, he was, I just have to make sure I'm recording, and I didn't forget. Okay. Thanks, you guys. Sometimes I have to start double checking. It's like throughout the day I wipe my counters 50 times because I forgot I wiped them the other 25 times. When you have kids, you're always wiping things down. So I just had to double check. Thank you. All right, so he says religion again. He's and the whole speech is about, as he says, bringing religion back. But it's interesting. He mentions random percentages throughout this speech. But he's saying that his son gained religion by 25%. Again, this is a numbers thing that he throws out there. President Donald Trump, I want to give him the respect that he's earned. He has gone to bat. He is a great businessman. I want to give him the respect that um, that he deserves. This by no means is an anti-Trump campaign from me whatsoever. So, we're all in this fishbowl and it's a mess. It needs a good cleaning. Uh, so he's saying, that his son's religion went up 25% whenever someone, tried to throw a bullet at him during his campaign. How do people do this with using code words and things? I'm just terrible at it. I know some people just mumble through it, but I tend to mumble anyway, and I also think that I have a strange speech pattern compared to a lot of people. I tend to speak very quickly and then slow down. I don't know why that is, but I don't want to mumble because maybe you won't understand what I'm saying then. So, um, it's just very strange that he just randomly throws a percentage out there that his son's religion went up 25%. That's very bizarre to me. Based on what? Based on what percentage? What percentage were we starting at? Was he at zero? Were we in the negatives? Where was he at? I don't know. I really don't know anything about his family. So where's the rest of the equation? I don't know. And so then he's, talking about his sons and his son Don. Okay, he's come a long way with his religion, I guess is what he's referring to. Here Donald Trump starts talking about how he turned to the right. He's talking about the attempt that was made on his life, which was terrible. Whatever that scenario was, I don't know what was going on. If it's, if it was if it was true, not true, whatever. The whole thing was just, it was a smashed ketchup packet, okay? It was just a mess. So here we have him talking about turning to the right, and he says it repeatedly. Had I not turned that right turn just at that time, I should have underlined these probably, but I did not. And he's talking about what caused it. But, he seems like he's all over the place, but the things that Donald Trump says, he absolutely intends on saying them. He is brilliant at giving this impression that he stumbles over his words. He's very good at getting to the point, and someone who's good at getting to the point and they remember where they came from in their conversation and where they're going, and they can hit that home at the end. Nothing in between was an accident. It's well placed and it's intentional. So he's kind of all over the place here, but he keeps talking about turning to the right, turning to the right, turning to the right. And what's really interesting is he says there's no reason to turn to the right. If you understand the right, turning to the right is turning to the Lord. That's what it means to turn to the right, is turning to the Lord. And he says there's no reason for that. This is something that jumped out to me, my discernment, as I'm hearing him say it and I'm trying to transcribe it. But that's what it boils down to. Okay? And again, he's talking about I brought it down, talking about the chart. I didn't see the video of the attempt, so I don't know I don't know what this immigration chart really played into it. And if I were to dissect this more, he's saying something about immigration. He's definitely telling somebody something, but I'm not here to unpack all that. So he's saying again, I brought it down maybe 20%, 20% of the time. Why 20% of the time? So he's saying 2020. He's saying 2020 here. But for what purpose? It's never on my right. Okay. So basically he's trying to get the point across. He's not turning to the Lord Almighty. Never, never, never. He wants to make sure that he's portraying to the people that he is a Christian while making sure that the other side knows that he is not. Where his loyalties really lie, he wants them to know. And he's throwing in more angles and numbers. And he ends all of this making this sound. And he says the thing went shh right along the edge. If you know what shh means, it actually means, I don't know if I can say the word. It means to, here, I'll type it here for you. Maybe that'll help. It means to that. That's what it means. You see it? This big word. That's actually what shh means. And typically you do that to barnyard animals, cattle, sheep specifically. So, interestingly, he said, it didn't affect my hair. Can you believe it? Okay. I'm going to move on from that. And he says, not the skin part. It didn't hit him where it counted, not the skin. And he said, but no, honestly, he started to say, it sounded like it's embarrassing. But he didn't finish it. He cut it off immediately and said, it changed something in me, I feel. So he said, but no, honestly, it changed something in me, I feel. Why would it be embarrassing? He said, I feel even stronger. I believed in God, but I feel much more strongly about it. Something happened, so thank you. I think, and I didn't realize it at the time, with him saying this first portion right here, I think it may have actually been a humiliation ritual by the other side, by the Luciferians. See, that's terrible. Like, it's still, the algorithm's still gonna pick that up, isn't it? I have no idea. I can't. So basically, that particular group of people, maybe that's actually what it was. Maybe it was actually a humiliation ritual, and those things are done whenever that particular person who's being humiliated, they want to go to the next level up in the organization, they have to go through that ritual again, and it gets progressively worse at each level. Maybe that's actually what it was, but he corrected himself there. But again, maybe he said that intentionally to acknowledge the ritual out in public to his people. I don't know. So but also, I just want to check. I want to look at my notes real quick. I think this skimming of the ear and how the attempt didn't actually get him. I think because he was talking about George Washington in this, I'm not sure if I got to it yet or not. No. I think we passed it. But he was, there's a story of George Washington, how he was considered a very righteous man, a very righteous leader, militarily wise, and just as a person in general and as a president. And the Native Americans tried to shoot him, and they swore up and down that they shot him in his chest, and it never hit him. He just kept continuing on as if nothing happened. So he was never hit by the bullets. And I think that there's almost this parallelism that President Trump is trying to create between him and George Washington. about being a righteous president, so much so that the Lord keeps him and the bullets can't touch him. I think this is what he's trying to portray. People call Donald Trump, like a savior figure, and I don't think that's really what this is. I think he's trying to create this parallelism maybe between him and George Washington with the righteousness, but it always goes deeper than that. So you have to ask yourself, who was George Washington? He's considered the founder of the United States. He's the founder of our country. He was the stabilizer and of our country when we needed it to push us into the direction that we were to go, and to really bring, I don't want to say morals, really bring specific statutes to the table and make sure that the country was going in that direction. And it makes me wonder what President Trump has up his sleeve for this, as if he is going to be a founder of a new country or a founder of a new world or a founder of new statutes. And I'm not talking about just like putting things like normalizing things with like the ABC community, so to speak. Uh, it seems like there's something there. It seems like there's something to that. So, but I did think maybe this here was maybe some sort of ritual, and he keeps talking about the attempt on him to create this parallelism between him and George Washington, maybe, possibly. But it gives him the opportunity to talk about all these other things. Then he starts talking about in an analogy between, so he has this comparison between the attempt on him and this he's talking about golf balls. If you go to the driving range and you hit golf balls, and all these people are hitting golf balls, but the golf balls are just flying everywhere, but they never hit each other. I don't really see how that's actually a good comparison or a good analogy to his scenario. Because whenever you're at a driving range, you can be practicing all sorts of things, and it could be your aim, or it could be your form, or it could be how hard you hit it, or just staying in the rhythm, or some people could even just be out there for exercise. Very different from something that actually is fully designed, like the device itself is designed to meet its mark, and it's designed to be used by a marksman, so to speak. It's just not the same as golf. The comparison isn't there. So it's out of place. As soon as I heard him talking about it, I was just thinking, what in the world? Where is he going with this? So he's talking about, he says here, who would think that you're in space? Okay, he said you're in space. He's talking about just the space around him, I guess. He's assuming that people are going to understand this, and the space around golf balls. Okay? Who would think you're in space and two things collide? The odds of that happening are so small, even without proper control. We should have had proper control. He's talking about at his, when he was out campaigning. We should have had better equipment, he says. How is this statement, how is that actually related to what he went through? This is some sort of, I believe this to be some sort of doublespeak for something hitting the earth, or maybe an untrue flag waving of saying that something hit the earth while creating a disaster of some sort. That's what this looks like and feels like to me. That it felt like that to me. Who would think that you're in space and two things collide? The odds of that happening are so small, even without proper control. That it's so far left field. It's very out of place. The way that he described that, there is not really an appropriate segue there. Then he's talking about the obsolete equipment, and Yeah, he says, see, I never see a ball hit another ball. Balls going up all over the place and you never see them hit. It just doesn't, it doesn't fit the scenario. He knows what he's saying. He knows what he's doing, though. He's a smart man. So he was just saying it never should have happened. Okay, so then he goes on to talk about, because of the obsolete equipment, computerized system for all our control towers. This is. I want to look at my notes, what I have on this. Okay, so this strikes me as like pushing for AI governance. I think that's where the government's going to go. Make everybody look incompetent, everything too expensive to fix. Just bring AI in because the infrastructure is much cheaper. You don't have to worry about human error. You don't even have to worry about people showing up to work or not. No snow days, no anything like that. And everything's going to come from, they're going to have central hubs, so it can never really go down. I think that's what this is actually pushing for. As a Christian, that greatly concerns me because, the MOB, the the mark of the animal, so to speak. I don't know if I can say the word or not, referred to in the Bible about who you serve. That that's what this looks like to me. This is an AI governance, I think. But interestingly enough, as it continues, because he talks about, he says he's trying to hook up a land-based system to a satellite system, and the first thing that some experts told me when this happened is that you can't hook up land to satellites, and you can't hook up satellites to land. And you know what this reminds me of? Is the Tower of Babel. And I pointed out to you already, there was another reference up here. Forgive my scrolling. Just close your eyes for a second. And it was with the National Garden of American Heroes. Down here it says it will be very, very built up. That's what Donald Trump said. And I do believe that's a Tower of Babel reference. And remember at the very beginning, if you watched the first video, part 1, I said that I would be coming back to the hearts of our nations. Well, the Tower of Babel is when the Babylonians all came together to create this huge tower to reach up to the heavens to overthrow them. Okay, so why is he saying here that God has always been the ultimate source of strength that beats in the hearts, plural, of our nations, plural? I think this is like Babylonia, like Babylon, like Babylonia. I think that's what that's a reference to. And then to build something up in the Garden of Eden. And then here we have, you can't bring the land to the satellites and the satellites to the land. That's not how it works. I think these are a Tower of Babel reference. And what happened with the Tower of Babel? Destruction and then dispersion. The tower was destroyed, tons of people were destroyed, and then those that were left were completely dispersed and given different languages so that they couldn't understand each other. That's where the word Babel comes from. If somebody's babbling and you can't understand them, that's where that word comes from. I think that's what that's a reference to. I'm going to scroll down further, and I put this in red because this really was disturbing to me, where he said, we have the most important people in the country in a true sense here, because you're the ones that are going to make the decision. You're the ones that are leading us into so many different things. And then he continues again and says, most important people. I'm actually speechless on that. How are you going to say that a handful of people are the most important people in the entire nation? I just don't agree with that. Our government is not supposed to own us. We own our government. We are supposed to govern our government. The people are the most important people. Are we not? if we're talking about a government, I would say yes, we are. I very strongly disagreed with that, and my jaw dropped. I still am stuttering for words on that. And he said many of them are very religious, and COVID hurt the religious people very badly. But apparently he thinks that it reads as though, it sounded as though when I heard it, I have to be careful how I say this. These are my opinions, that they're the most important people because of how religious they are. But their religion is not stated. I'll continue on. Then out of the blue, he starts talking about how we have to cherish our police. And he says this right here. So Donald Trump says, it's so dangerous. You open a car and somebody starts shooting. They have blackened windows. You don't even have any idea who's in the car. Oftentimes they have the dark windows, which in theory they're not supposed to have, but they have them. The door opens and a gun is pointed at your face. I already said the G word. Unfortunately, I think I'm not supposed to say that. And you can't do a thing about it. And there's just nothing you're going to do about it. Your friends will take them out. Okay, so this is a quote from Donald Trump. I am quoting this. I hope that YouTube does not get upset with me. There are a few things that are kind of weird to me about this. So out of the blue, he starts talking about how dangerous the country is, so much to the point that we're just having random bang bangs going around with people in dark windows everywhere. I mean, is this every day everywhere? I've never seen this in my life. I've been in the United States for 40 years. I've never seen this before. Is this just, am I in a really sheltered part of the country that this isn't happening all the time, that I'm super worried about it? I do appreciate our police, by the way. I am pro-police. I appreciate our police officers. They do the best here that they can. I actually grew up about 2 hours from here, where I'm currently living, and they were wonderful there. So nothing against police officers. I'm very appreciative of our police. But it's almost like he's trying to instill fear. He's trying to instill this impression as though this is what would happen if you didn't have the government to take care of you. It sounds like propaganda, Propa G to me. That's what it sounds like to me. And what is this? Your friends will take them out. Are we talking about the police officers? Because at this point it seems kind of far removed. Because he didn't preface the fact that the police are our friends. That wasn't actually prefaced. Maybe I'm just a very literal person, which I am, by the way. I'm very literal, and I think very literally, but I can see things very abstractly. It's very strange, but am I just being too literal here? I don't know. But your friends will take them out. I thought to myself, what friends? Who? Who would do that? Besides the fact that this propagates this sense of victimhood, right, and helplessness. We're in the United States of America. What about the bang bang laws? Are we not allowed to protect ourselves? We are, right? We're allowed to carry, right? Yes. Why should we be so afraid? So that there was definitely an agenda there. Again, he says religion. Woo, not surprised at all. That is the theme of the whole speech. So it just makes sense it would be there over and over again. But every time you see the word religion, it means that there was an opportunity to specify which religion or religions, or specifically who the God is that he serves, and it's never stated. All those opportunities just gone. Okay. I found this strange. He then says the spirit, as high as it's been, it was up. Oh wait, he says, we have tremendous spirit right now. The spirit that's so weird. The spirit, as high as it's been, it was up 49 points this morning. 49 points. That's never been. That's the biggest increase in history of whatever the poll was. whatever the poll was. So this was very obviously to make a point that there is a spirit at work. Um, he's using the word 49. I'll just jump over here. Oh, wow, caps. I'm feeling bold. Okay. It means purification. It can also mean whatever this name means. Abishag. But obviously, purification, that this is a theme that the Lord has expressed to me over and over recently. Purification. So this did not surprise me at all that he would be using this particular number whenever he's talking about a spirit doing work in the people somehow. So that's how I dissect that. And he's talking about people of religion, and so he finishes it off by saying, so let's bring religion back. So that's the moral of the story. For him, moral of the story is bring religion back. That's what he says. And that's what he wants. And that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Oh, wait, no, that's not true. Remember I mentioned that snake poem that Trump, he quotes? So this is it. It is called, right here, The Snake by Oscar Brown Jr. That's what it's called. But it goes on to say, so a woman, she sees a half-frozen snake and, she feels bad for him because he's all kind of frosted over from the dew. And she said, I'll take care of you. And he says, take me in, tender woman. Take me in. Please help me. And so she takes him in. She comforts him. He's been revived. And, he said, take me in for heaven's sake. And she clutches him to her bosom. She says, you're so beautiful, she cried, but if I hadn't brought you in, by now you might have died. And, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. But if I hadn't brought you in, by now you might have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. Instead of saying thanks, that snake gave her a vicious bite. And at the end, she says, but I saved you. You've bitten me, but why? And the snake says, and she says, and your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. And the snake says, oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew full well I was a snake before you took me in. This is Donald Trump's favorite poem. So I was talking about the snake in the garden. Now, he's not the opposite of our Lord and Savior. He is not, but he sounds like he is one. He is a type. And, he made the Garden of Eden reference, and he is a snake. So he calls himself that through the poem when he reads it. That's really just all I'm saying with that. So I wanted to show you that. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope that this was a blessing to you. It took me a lot of time to break it down and put it up for you. And if you have questions, let me know. If you have comments, please comment. But I pray the Lord is with all of you. Please take care, hold your families tight, and thank the Lord for all you have. Take care.